Alright. We are back with the World Series in 2025, the GT Driver Career with the Touring Cars Cup. It is round 5, and we're at Fuji. And looking at the qualifying results, in a tricky qualifying session with heavy rain, bit of trying conditions, not too much. So yeah, we see Jaeger on pole position alongside with Blasi. Then second row, it is rough. And B racing. Row number 3, we have Shelty and Richie. Row number 4, Resistance and Rick. And then let's get to the second page, where we have Nick and Stu on row 5 and row number 6, it is Tess and BMO. But qualifying wasn't really that important in those conditions. You will see what I mean when I get rid of these graphics. And let's see the actual forecast for this race. So heavy rain to start, and it should be easing off a little bit. Maybe some light rain again, and then towards the end no more rain. That is the scheduled evening conditions, so we get a nice little sunset as well. Okay, so let's get rid of this and let's jump into the racing action. Have a little look at the starting tires. Interesting to see. So Jaeger is running on the intermediates, Blasi with the heavy wets, rough as well, heavy wets, and B racing intermediates, Shelty intermediates, Richie as well, the inters, Resistance aka Zero on the intermediates, Rick on the inters as well, Nick intermediates, Stu intermediates, Taz inters, and EMO as well. So 2 drivers on heavy wets to start that race with. Interesting. So right, I think I can start this one now. So you see it's pouring down, like really intense. So the guys on the heavy wet should have the grip advantage. And we see Blasi already taking the lead position after a couple of meters. Be racing on the inside versus Jaeger. It's a little bit of contact. Nothing major. What about the mid pack? Yeah, it's very close in those conditions. And around the outside goes Rev on those heavy wets. More grip. Moves up a position. Jaeger down. 2P4 from pole, Shelty P5, Richie side by side through the Coca-Cola curve, but Richie defends the inside line, and Rick and Taz with a good start, up to P7, 8, something like that. They go side by side, and we're using the short layout, so not the heavy braking for the chicane. It's the fast flowing right hand kink, still tricky in wet conditions. Zero in 10th, fighting with Stu. Peugeot versus Audi TT, and BMO in the third Scirocco, taking it easy on that opening lap. So the heavy wet tire runners, Blasi and Rev, 1, 2 as expected on the opening lap in those conditions. And we have the intermediate tire runners, B Racing, Jaeger, Richie, Shelty, Taz, Nick, so a nice little line of cars heading into turn number 1 for the first time under racing speed. So far, drivers kept it very clean in those tricky conditions. Front wheel, front engine cars, all the weight and the important stuff is done at the front of the car, so you don't have that much traction. And in these heavy wet conditions, the intermediates don't have the best grip, and you see that already, the heavy wet tires opening up a gap. But the intermediate tires runners, they are definitely playing the longer game. They know it will ease off after a couple of minutes, so it's just survive those first minutes and then you should be fine. Here we see 3 cars on that same part of the track. E-Racing moves up into P3 again, and it looks like Ritchie got the inside on Jaeger. As well, different lines through the final sector at Fuji, as always. Still very close, Shelty right behind Jaeger. In that Mazda 3 should have the top speed advantage. Coming down the straight, triple slipstream, who is gonna send it into turn number 1. Anyone? We don't know. Oh, Jaeger goes for 3 wide and goes for a massive dive, but couldn't make that move stick. I'm a bit optimistic. Still side by side with Ritchie. Ritchie holds it around the outside of the air. So before it is for Ritchie, 5 for Jaeger, 6 for Shelty. Then we have Nick and Tess, Peugeot and Renault Mégane, P7, P8. Rick in the Audi TT in 9th position, Shiro then 10th. Currently in another Peugeot. Oh, Rick goes wide on the exit. Might cost him a little bit of momentum. Stu in P11 also still in striking distance. And we see the first jar with a penalty, BMO 1 second. Penalties will be an issue. First of all, you don't really want to get penalties at all for cutting track limits. Second, the penalty zone is like pretty bad. So coming on to the main straight, you're just on the accelerating phase, and then you see all those yellow signs. Boom, you have to slow down. You lose quite some time. Blasi and Draft there, they're having a nice little gap. Now this is close, the 2 Sciroccos. E-Racing and Ritchie. Will they play together? No, Ritchie looking down the inside into turn number 1. Also Shelty with the move on Jaeger. Or has he? The white line, the off racing line, is still good in bad conditions. You have a bit more grip. So they go side by side into the left, and Shelty backs out of that. Well, this gives Nick the opportunity to maybe go around the outside through the Coca-Cola curve, and indeed he has the run. He makes that move stick up into P6 for the German driver. Taz also joins the back of that little fighting group in the Mégane. Mégane, this strong car on a straight line, and looks like Tess just showed his nose. Everything the track is trying up a little bit already, so intermediate tire should have the advantage now. Grid is still fairly close after nearly 4 laps of racing. Interesting part will be when the drivers decide to change tires. Once again we join this group of cars coming down the main straight in the slipstream. Ritchie Racing Jaeger, we see Nick and Shelty, whereas Taz also not too far behind. Shelty on the inside gets that move done. What about B Racing and Jaeger? B Racing has to defend the inside line. A little gap to Ritchie appeared suddenly. We see different lines through the Coca-Cola Cup once again. Let's go back to B Racing and Jaeger. No, looked like for a brief moment there might be a move down the inside. Didn't happen. B Racing is definitely under pressure now. Oh, and that was a big cut on the inside. I think this is where B Racing gets a 1 second penalty. So I remember the chat where it was like suddenly, oh, there's so much more grip suddenly when you were turning. And yeah, too much on the inside. That's a 1 second. That is harsh. So the Dutch driver will lose that position now, and will probably drop down to P8. Shelty also had a penalty by the looks of it. Now we have Nick and Taz. They got past. P5, P6, P Racing, P7 with Shelty on the outside. Again, side by side racing through turn number 1. Is there more grip on the outside? Don't think so. We also have a 3-way fight for P9, 10 and 11. Rick, Shiro and Stu. The Peugeot driver looking down the inside. No, didn't quite make it, but forced Rick into a little mistake. Ran deep into the chicane. It could be done now around the outside at Coca-Cola. Peugeot is still there, has the inside. And Stu wants to get past as well. No, didn't happen. And the Italian driver around the outside up into P9. Rick 10th, Stu P11. Where is PMO? He tries to close the gap. If they continue with that battling, he will be there. Definitely, this is very close in the mid-pack at the front. We still see Blasi and Ref on those wet tires. I think Blasi kept a nice little gap. Looks like Ref is struggling a little bit now. The intermediate tire runners, they seem to be closing the gap. What is going on with Taz? Cooling the tires, went just for a different line. Same goes for Ritchie. Ritchie on the inside line, cooling tires. Sager stays on the racing line and Taz. It was a nice little gap, but we see B Racing fighting against Shelty and Nick. So after serving the penalties, they want to move up the order again. And it's a 3-way coming out of turn number 1. He looks down the inside now, wants to get that move done. They go side by side. Nick has the advantage, had the advantage for a brief moment. Understood a little bit, still has the inside line. For a turn, there's a little bit of contact, nothing major. Acceleration on the wet part on the outside is now possible, I think, on those inters. Be racing into P6 now after the overtake. Nick dropped down 2 positions, but it's still so close. P. Shelty and Nick P6, 7, 8. A little gap to Shiro in P9. Stu and Rick, the 2 Audi TTs, P10, P11. Half a second. That's not gonna help. BMO trying to get closer, I think. He gained a little bit. The gap seems to be coming down. Blasi staying out. Ref into the pits early. It's still wet. Somewhere also the gap between Richie, Jaeger and Taz closed. E versus Shelty is the same situation we had the last laps. As you can see now, the track is drying up. Blasi still staying in the lead on his heavy wets and very rough on the not on the medium tires. It's slick tires, the first driver to go for. So if you can keep it on the dry racing line, that might be okay. As soon as you touch the wet bits on slick tires, feels like you're standing still. So risky strategy, but maybe he was forced to with the wet tires, not giving that much grip, and this is what I mean. So on the wet bits and losing all of the traction. So what is Blasi going to do heading into the final turn? That gap seems to be coming down between Blasi and Richie. Is he also forced to pit now? Looks like he's taking that pit entry line. Yeah, so the leader into the pits. Richie looked like for a brief moment he wanted to pit as well. It didn't go for it. We have side by side Richie versus Jaeger heading into turn number 1. And they go side by side once again. Richie with the inside line has better track position. Jaeger with the cutback attempt. It's still side by side coming out of turn number 1 with Richie on the inside line. Now, can they go side by side through the left kink? They can. Richie kept his nose in front though. Jaeger P2 test, P3. Yeah. Looking at the conditions now, it's probably time for the intermediate runners to think about switching to the medium tire compound as well. Shouldn't take them that much longer. So a little bit of a gap now between Nick, Shiro and Stu. BMO stayed out. Blasi is on the medium tires, so getting to grips with the car, see where you can go. Ref think closed that gap a little bit. And we have Rick also early on the medium tire compound on the out lap. Pretty sure this is the lap where we will see the leaders pitting as well for these slick tires. Will they stay the pit entry? Oh, Richie staying out, faked it. Jaeger into the pits. Taz staying out as well. Okay. E-Racing also staying out. Shelty. Okay. so it's Jaeger and Nick, next drivers, to switch over to the slick tires. BMO doing one more lap on the inters. We will keep that position. What's the gap? Jaeger to the leaders. Where's Blasi? Blasi. The outside line. Jaeger has to be careful. Cold tires. Wet pit exit. Blasi keeps the lead. A little gap to Ref. Though something happened. Maybe a little off track. Easy to do. To spin the car or lose the traction if you touch the wet pits. Nick down to P11 and Rick in P12. So we have Nick, Rick, Nick, Ref, Jaeger and Blasi, the bottom 5 on the medium tires. And at the front we still have Richie on intermediates, Taz, B-Racing, Shelty, Shiro, Stu and BMO. I'm pretty sure the drivers will pit this lap. The racing line should be wide enough now. And it is, yeah, ooh, that might be a penalty for Richie. Went in very hot into that pit lane. Oh, and Shelty staying out on the inters. We know like that Mazda is not the best car with the tires, so maybe it doesn't trust the mediums to go all the way till the end. If it stays dry, that is, of course. But yeah, Richie in, Taz in, B-Racing in, Shiro is in, Stu and also BMO. And this means Blasi and Jaeger, they're running quite close now after the pit stop. Blasi put in a little bit more fuel. Here's Richie. Was it okay? It was okay. So that sent into the pit entry. Didn't cause a 3-second penalty, so got lucky, I think. Gap not too far also to Jaeger. Tess out in P5. Ref just in front of B-Racing. B-Racing also putting a lot of fuel, just to be sure, I think. A little bit of wear on Ref's mediums as well. He's running those for 3.5 laps already. Test with fresh slick tires. Still needs to adapt a little bit where to push, how much he can push, where to stay away from the curbs, etc. Ref knows all of that. And Shelty finally into the pits. So you cannot go the mega wide entry line. Still quite wet, but now on that straight you should see an overtake versus B-Racing. Gap kind of big, and Ref with the over speed. Can he brake for turn number 1? Yeah, just gets in front of Tess, and I think they're side by side the Shelty. Oh, we missed that. Oh, this could be tricky around the outside. You need to keep it on the dry stuff, and B-Racing with a very wide line. I think that's another penalty, unfortunately. Yeah, you couldn't rejoin the track in time to avoid the penalties. So a new battle group has formed. Ref, Taz, B-Racing and Shelty. We see side by side. He on the inside line needs to push and open up a gap before he serves the penalty. He just got in front of Tess. Losing a little bit of contact to Ref by the looks. And you see it. V-Racing has to serve the penalty now. Half a second. Easy a second. Maybe a bit more. He will actually lose. Still might get lucky to catch a little bit of the slipstream. Shelty's car. He might just stay with the group. I think just half a second, maybe now, heading into turn number 1. So he's back with that group. Then Nick with a wide entry, wet tires, no traction. This is how easy you can lose a couple of seconds. Stu in P9, Giro in 10th position in those trying conditions. Struggling a little bit with the pace. Rick and BMO, that gap also went down a little bit. Probably 1.5 to 2 seconds at this stage. We have to look at our race leaders. So as always, it's a 40-minute race and we are 24 minutes roughly in, so still plenty of time left to go for some moves. It looks like the front runners can maintain their gap to Richie. Raf is pushing but has a half-second penalty. Will he lose that P4 to that chase group led by Tess and Shelty? He lost definitely speed while serving the penalty. He should be okay, but it's coming together, that group again. Shelty on the inside, Tess touches the wet part on the outside, loses position to be racing. A small mistake. Half a second gone just like that, and the position as well. It is still very intense and close racing. Once again, Ref with another penalty. Too aggressive, maybe now on those softs, or too much grip, whatever. Definitely cut a corner somewhere. Now it's Shelty who has to defend from B Racing. I think it was just a perfect line through that little kink into the final sector. Yeah, Shelty got away with that line a bit more on the inside, and boom, you get that 1 second we had to witness for B Racing earlier on that race. So once again we have Rev having to serve another penalty, and this time might not be that lucky and to keep that position. Loses 2 positions. Still right in the mix. Shelty a bit wide. It looks like we see the grip building more and more. Can even touch the curbs now. touches the wet bits, and also Raf nearly loses the car. Ooh, that was a close one. Still kind of tricky conditions. A bit of contact between the two. KB Racing waits. Let's go to Taz, see his perspective. Four cars within half a second, roughly, and still the outside is still wet, so you cannot push that hard. We have side-by-side racing for a brief moment. B Racing trying somehow to get more speed in that slipstream. That Mazda 3 is still quick, so Shelty defending the inside line. And do we have a 3 wide into turn number 1? No, we don't. That was close. Let's watch the TV camera again. This intense mid-pack battle. When B Racing goes wide, that might be another penalty. He got away this time. Just went off track. It's still wet. You know it. This is still not over anyone's gain for P4. Nice lines through the right kink, and we see more clouds coming in. Will we see a rain shower towards the end of the race? It was within the realms of possibility, and we see windshield wipers moving again. It's a little bit of rain now, with just over 10 minutes to go. Drivers are staying out by the looks. Top runners still very close next to each other. Little gap to Ritchie in P3. Shelty, Ref, and B Racing with a mighty move on Tess, and nearly got that move on Ref as well. More rain now. Through the Coca-Cola curve. This could get interesting if we understeer. To go on to the wet part. Ref still defending that position. Better exit for B Racing though. Better line for the upcoming right-hander for Ref now. See, and also the Taz is close. Oh, that could be a penalty. It was a mighty cut. No, it was okay. It was okay. It's still side by side into the final couple of turns. Ref back. P5, Shelty with a little gap now. Usually pushing out the final turn and dragging the Taz with him. Let's quickly have a look at the other drivers. Nick in P8, Stu in P9, some bigger gaps now between the drivers. Rick P10, BMO P11, and Shiro in P12. Go back to the main battle on track currently. Taz with a good run, a slipstream in the Mégane versus the Scirocco. Can they go? Ooh, they go 3 wide into turn number 1, and was contact. Okay. Okay, what happened? Looks like that ref left the race. Not sure if it was a disconnect or a quit. Looked a bit weird after that contact. So yeah, let's see what's the race situation at the front with 7.5 minutes to go. Blasi and Jaeger 1-2, not separated by much. Ritchie roughly 4 seconds that gap. Shelty in P4, and we have B Racing and Taz fighting for that P5. Rain has stopped. And it should stay dry for the rest of the race now. So just a little rain shower. Didn't trick the drivers into going to the pits and change to intermediates once again. It's still fine on those slick tires, but there's a bit of a wear on those tires now. If I can remember correctly, it will be 22 racing laps. So 4 laps to go, including this one. Quickly have a look. No close fights in the mid-pack. We could see a fight between Shiro and BMO. P10, P11. That's close. Shelty, after leaving the battle group with some good lap times, and that fastest lap of the race so far, a 44.5. We might see another improvement on that lap. Blasi 44.3, and here we go, Shelty 44.0. Let's have a look at those lap times. 44.3 for Blasi, 44.6 for Jaeger, keeping that gap close. Ritchie also with a 44.6, so those gaps stay roughly the same. Then we had that new fastest lap, 44.0 for Shelty. Taz got past P Racing. Was there another penalty involved? Maybe? It's like a Taz with the 44.7, B Racing 46.5. Yeah, maybe that looks like a slow lap due to a penalty. Nick a 46.1 in the Peugeot, 46.9 for Stu in that GT. Bit of a slower lap for Rick as well, 47.4. This might bring that group closer together, 45.6 for Shiro. And another Peugeot RCZ, and BMO 46.2 as well. It looks like this is now our closest battle on track. Looking at the timer, it's 3 minutes 15 seconds. So yeah, penultimate lap for Blasi and Jaeger. Jaeger with his personal best, and Shelty with a 43.8 all by himself, showing on the pace of the Mazda 3 in dry conditions. CB Racing is pushing. He wants to close that gap to get to Tess and maybe gain one more position. That race would be important for the championship. Definitely. Gaps looks like it's outside of the slipstream range. And it's still status quo between Blasi and Jäger, a little bit of a bumper contact. And with 1 minute 35 to go, they cross the line and start the final lap of the race. So now, will we see a move happening at some point? Blasi defending inside line for turn number 1. Jäger still close. You see Ritchie in the distance. That gap is too big to benefit from something, I reckon. So let's watch the final lap between the two drivers at the front. Good run for both drivers approaching the Dunlop. It's not a chicane. It is still that quick right-hander which takes away one of the main overtaking spots at Fuji, of course. And then into the final sector now. It's like Blasi taking defensive lines, staying in front. So all important run out of the final turn. Early defensive move for Blasi. Jäger into the slipstream. Now it's a run to the line. Who gets it? It is Blasi who just stays in front of Jäger. P3 for Shelty, P4 for Shelty. Tess kept that P5 position in the end. The racing got closer, not close enough. It is P6. Nick with a penalty. He should be able to keep that P7 though. And yeah, crosses the line. Stu in 8th position. Oh. Something happened. No! There was a mistake for Scirocco, or he's not accelerating. Oh, maybe there something happened between them. The BMO P9, Scirocco, and he's waiting for Rick as well. Well, there was damage on the car, so maybe that's what happened. And it's P11 for this. Okay, so then let's bring up race results, shall we? Oh, get rid of that. Race results. So Blasi with the victory. Jäger P2, Ritchie completing the podium in P3, Shelty P4 with the fastest lap of the race. Taz P5, B Racing 6, Nick in 7th, and Stu in P8. get that second page of the results. BMO in T9, Rick in P10, you have Resistance 11 and Ref with that DNF for the race. So very entertaining race, definitely. So yeah, that's it for round number 5. Round 6 next week. We will head over to Europe again, to Barcelona, and it will be the natural layout, so the short one with that dreadful final chicane. But yeah, will be a different challenge once again for the drivers. So that's it for this one. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the racing. Always leave a like. And then, yeah, take care. See you soon. DPKA. Love you all. Bye bye.